in laundry. And I also have commentary pertaining to Black people who have gone missing, their families. There are some families that are frustrated that their missing children, family members have not gotten national attention, local attention, as some of these other missing people, such as many white participants who have gone missing. And I can understand this because I am a Black woman. And even if I wasn't, I would hope that if I was another race, I would still have compassion for all people who go missing, whether they are Arab, Jew, white, Black, American Indian. It doesn't matter. A life is a life. Hello, Griff. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to bring you said commentary. This will be a quick live. I'll try to keep it under an hour because it is the weekend. I know everybody wants to get out and enjoy themselves. So you all please be safe out there. If you see something, say something. Thank you so much for joining me. The source is CNN. New details emerge about Brian Laundrie's behavior in the days after Petito went missing. This was uploaded today at 4:57 a.m. The search for Brian Laundrie, who according to a source left behind his wallet and cell phone, when last seen departing his parents' home 10 days ago, resumed Friday at a nature reserve in southwestern Florida. New details also are emerging about Laundrie, as he is now the subject of a federal arrest warrant for events following the death of fiancee Gabby Petito, whose remains were found Sunday in Wyoming. The U.S. District Court of Wyoming issued a warrant for Laundrie, according to the FBI's Denver field office, after a grand jury indicted him for his use of unauthorized devices after Petito died. Laundrie used a debit card and PIN number for accounts that did not belong to him for charges totaling over 1,000 between the dates of August 30th and September 1st, according to the indictment. An attorney for Laundrie's family emphasized that the warrant was not for Petito's death, but related to activities that took place afterward. It is my understanding that the arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie is related to activities occurring after the death of Gabby Petito and not related to her actual demise, Steve Bertolino said in a statement. The FBI is focusing on locating Brian, and when that occurs, the specifics of the charges covered under the indictment will be addressed in the proper form. FBI Special Agent in charge Michael Schneider said, while this warrant allows law enforcement to arrest Mr. Laundrie, the FBI and our partners across the country continue to investigate the facts and circumstances of Ms. Petito's homicide. We urge individuals with knowledge of Mr. Laundrie's role in this matter or his current whereabouts to contact the FBI. Local and federal officials continue to search for any signs of Laundrie in the Carlton Reserve, a roughly 25,000-acre nature preserve near his parents' home in Northport. The search resumed once again Friday morning after being paused overnight due to darkness, the Northport Police Department said. Law enforcement began their search of the area after Laundrie's family said to police last Friday that he had not been seen for days, telling his family he was headed to the reserve before not being heard from again. The conditions investigators are working in can be seen in videos shared Friday by the Northport Police Department, which show murky water, muddy roads, and thick vegetation. Rough is an understatement, Northport Police spokesperson Josh Taylor said Thursday of the conditions in the reserve. On Thursday, a source close to the Laundrie family told CNN's Chris Cuomo that Laundrie left his parents' home without his cell phone and wallet on the last day they reported seeing him. Laundrie's parents were concerned that he might hurt himself, the source said. Northport Police Public Information Officer Josh Taylor declined to comment to CNN on the report, saying, I cannot give any statement to a timeline at this time. That investigation is being conducted by the FBI. The FBI did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Okay. Witnesses are providing additional details about Petito and Laundrie in the lead up to their disappearances. A couple from Louisiana vacationing in Jackson, Wyoming, says they saw an incident last month in a restaurant involving Petito and Laundrie. Nina Angelo and her boyfriend, Matt England, saw a commotion as Petito and Laundrie were leaving the Mary Piglet's Tex-Mex restaurant, Angelo told CNN on Wednesday. Petito was in tears and Laundrie was visibly angry, going into and out of the restaurant several times and continuing to show anger toward the staff around the hostess stand. Sorry about that. Some ad popped up blocking my my momentum. Sorry about that. It's very strange. Okay, back to what I was saying. Petito was in tears and Laundrie was visibly angry, going into and out of the restaurant several times and continuing to show anger toward the staff around the hostess stand, Angelo said. The couple's waitress was also visibly shaken by the incident, according to Angelo, who told CNN she did not see any violence or physical altercation between Petito and Laundrie. A manager at Mary Piglet's, who declined to give her name, did see an incident at the restaurant on August 27th and called the FBI on Wednesday, she told CNN. The manager declined to describe what happened and said the restaurant did not have surveillance video of the incident. Earlier in August, police in Moab, Utah had an encounter with the couple where officers described them as having engaged in some sort of altercation. Although the two are described as getting into a physical fight following an argument, both the male and female reported they are in love and engaged to be married and desperately didn't wish to see anyone charged with a crime, a report from Officer Eric Pratt says. Petito and Laundrie had posted online regularly about their travels with the hashtag van life as they ventured out west, but those posts abruptly stopped in late August. Petito's family told police they were last in contact with her during the last week of August, Northport police say. Laundrie returned to the couple's home where his parents also live on September 1st, according to police. Petito was reported missing September 11th, and her family had not been able to get in touch with her. Her remains were discovered on September 19th in Wyoming's Bridger Teton National Forest and were identified by a coroner 2 days later, according to the FBI. The cause of death remains pending final autopsy results, the FBI said. A memorial visitation for Petito is planned for Sunday afternoon in Holbrook on Long Island in New York. According to Maloney's Holbrook Funeral Home, it will be open to the public. Richard Stafford, an attorney for Petito's family, confirmed in a statement Friday her funeral will be held Sunday, adding that the family has asked for donations to be made to the future Gabby Petito Foundation in lieu of flowers. On Wednesday, a small crowd gathered in Salt Lake City to mourn the death of Petito. We won't forget about you. We won't let your light dim, vigil organizer Serena Chavez said before the group. We will remember other women or children who are missing, Chavez continued. Their families are devastated, and I can only imagine what Gabby's family is going through. If you need verification for the information that I just brought you, CNN is the source. 1 minute. Okay, I have to write something down. Thank you all for joining me. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, Shaydoc. Hello, Joe, Joelle, Brenda, Amanda. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. 36 viewing. And this is pertaining to what we know so far in the search for Brian Laundrie. Hold on 1 second. Thank you all so much. Hello, honey. I will be bringing you another commentary just after this one. Thank you.
Federal arrest warrant coming in just the last half hour. And of note here is that it was issued for the unauthorized use of, or unauthorized access rather, of devices. Specifically, we should note that it is for access to bank accounts and use of a debit card. No mention of a homicide charge here. And this comes as the FBI continues to ask for help from the public and sort through evidence collected here at the home where the couple lived. The silver Mustang seized 3 days ago is now back at Brian Laundrie's Northport family home. The FBI had it towed away on Monday, but this morning it was back on the driveway. A neighbor told us she last saw him the weekend of September 10th.
Saw him and the family and the neighborhood out in the front yard. I thought it was just, again, a normal, they were going for a walk kind of, thing. So never thought anything about it.
Teams gathered again today at the Swampy Carlton Reserve to continue their search for any clue that could lead them to Laundrie. The search today, however, did not include the specialized dive team brought in earlier this week.
We are trying to cover every acre in this reserve.
His fiance's remains were found Sunday in a camping area of Bridger Teton National Forest in Wyoming. And on Tuesday, a coroner's initial determination of Gabby Petito's death was homicide. The couple had been traveling, visiting national parks in their van before Petito disappeared. Now, witnesses are coming forward and detailing troubling interactions between the two.
We saw them in Wyoming. They were the couple fighting at the restaurant.
One woman took to Instagram stating she saw Petito in Laundrie on August 27th at Mary Piglet's Tex-Mex restaurant in Jackson, Wyoming.
They got kicked out of the restaurant and were fighting with the hostess. She was hysterically crying. She was standing on the sidewalk crying, and he walked back in and was like screaming at the hostess, and then walked back out, and then he walked back in like 4 more times to talk to the manager.
There's been fighting this morning. Some personal issues. This week, the city of Moab, Utah also announced it is launching an investigation into the Moab City Police Department's handling of a dispute between Petito and Laundrie.
I didn't get that far into it. She was hyperventilating.
The couple's interaction with police captured on body cam footage after a witness called 911.
We're driving by and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
Petito told police she slapped Laundrie. He told police he pushed her. No one was arrested, no charges filed. Moab said in a statement, at this time, the city of Moab is unaware of any breach of police department policy during the incident. However, the city will conduct a formal investigation and based on the results, will take any next steps that may be appropriate.
Thank you so very much. That is from CNN. Mercy. More information to dissect and chop up with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $BigAngie 129 Cash App. Let me go ahead and put out my questions for that video because I already have another response to this situation pertaining to Petito and Brian. Just going to go ahead and put it out because this might get a little winded now. Since I've got that information there. Everything's up for interpretation. Always remember that pertaining to true crime. You don't have camera footage of anything. Everything is hearsay at this point. But you have to think to yourself logically, why would random people make up stories about somebody hitting someone? So just keep that in mind because you're going to hear all type of he said, she said with this case, just like any other case. I'm going to start my commentary for this information, and then I'm going to bring you the information pertaining to Black people missing in America and the response from their families versus what's going on with Petito and other Caucasian stories. And I'll get to that in just a second. First of all, pertaining to the information I just brought you by CNN News. Hold on. I had the notes. The issue with the cards. He came back on September 1st, allegedly, is what's being reported. I would assume the reason why he used those said cards, whoever they belong to, Miss Petito, whomever, is because he needed to put gas in the car to get back to Florida. Stay woke. Wyoming is a very long way to Florida, Northport. So common sense tells you he has to be able to drive that vehicle, that van, and 9 times out of 10, that's what the charges are on the credit card. It's for food and gas. Are the witnesses believable? The people who are now coming forward to bring their said information. Okay. I can't even find my notes. I feel like I'm behind here. Hold on. I got too much going on. Here we go. That's what happens when you take thousands of notes. As I state, 9 times out of 10, the uses of the cards was for gas and food to get back to Florida. Why did the Miss Petito's family not report her missing before September 11th? I don't know, Chrissy. I'll get to all that later. Why did the family, her parents, not report her missing? If you've been trying to call her at the end of August, no posts, no nothing, phone calls, dead, going to voicemail, whichsoever, why not file a missing persons report when you realize she's not responding? Did they call Brian or his parents? Do they have their telephone numbers, the Petitos? As I said, why wait till September 11th? Because that is almost 2 weeks. That's almost 2 weeks. So what we have to ask ourselves is this. Why wait so long when you haven't heard from her around the 30th or before that? Why not put a report in? If they called Brian's phone or his parents' phone, what was the response? Did they respond? If they did respond, what did they tell the Petitos? This incident in Utah, because now we're talking about 2 different states. The incident at the restaurant at the Tex-Mex, well, we have to ask ourselves, why are there no cameras in there? What actually happened in there? They say there was no physical abuse of Miss Petito in the restaurant by Brian. And as you hear this lady talking on her Instagram video, he's arguing with the hostess and whomever. He's going in and out trying to talk to the manager about whatever transpired, what happened in that restaurant. Why was he so angry? So was he angry with the staff, his service? What happened? She says they were kicked out. So did they go in to sit down and something happened? Had they already purchased food? What's the setup of the incident? And now we have people talking. He said, she said, with no damn cameras. How do you not have cameras in a restaurant? So what are we saying? A mom and pop type restaurant? Something off the highway? Not a major type restaurant? What are we saying? I have to Google to see. Okay. The lawyer situation. If you're saying that he is not being arrested or an indictment is not for murder of this young lady, you hired a lawyer because of credit card fraud. Why? Because what we have to tell ourselves is this. The indictment is coming out of the state of Wyoming. Florida is where he lives with his parents. So you hiring a lawyer out of Florida is going to do what exactly for a case in Wyoming? So now you're going to tell me what? You're going to fly him out, the lawyer, to Wyoming? Because how is this going to work for him to fight for the case in Wyoming? That's a mighty long way. It's a mighty long way. Oh, mercy. Did they get information about the indictment? Did somebody notify them? Because what I have to ask myself is, when did they go get the lawyer? Was it after they got information that he was being indicted? So who's the person that brought the message that he was being indicted for fraud, unauthorized use of credit cards, debit cards? When did they find out? Who told them? And is this when the ruse started to get him gone? Because as I said, the case is in Wyoming, and you're seeking legal counsel in Florida. How is this going to work with going to court? And he's all the way here on the eastern seaboard, as far as we know. But at the moment, we don't know where he is. And that's another thing. You've hired a lawyer for somebody who's taken off and said he was going to the preserve. So we also have to ask ourselves, what's the truth about that? Is it true that he went to the preserve or not? Is this just your version to get your son gone to safety as to avoid law enforcement and apprehension? What did he tell you? Because all this sounds fishy to me. He left without a wallet and a phone. Well, I don't know that because I wasn't there. I don't know where he went. For all I know, you drove him somewhere. So now let's talk about the source. Who is the source giving this information to the news? Who are you? Who are you and why are you speaking but won't be visible for us to know who the hell you are? He said, she said. Because that's all this case is on right now. I'm going to say it because it's the truth. He left his phone in his wallet. Well, his parents aren't talking, so who are you? And we're not hearing that the lawyer said he left his phone in his wallet. So I'm going to say it again. Who is the source that's giving this information, that's allegedly close to the family, that he left his wallet and his phone and walked off into the reserve. Okay, he had the lawyer after Gabby's parents called her in missing. Well, it's still all the same. Why would you get a lawyer if you haven't done anything? You haven't done anything, allegedly. Why do I need a lawyer if I haven't done anything? Because that's the whole point. We don't know what he said to his parents. We don't know what he told them. We really don't know everything he's done since he's gotten back from Wyoming. And if you're back without the person, you're in their car, now we have credit card fraud, which we can assume were cards that belong to Miss Petito. You didn't seem very concerned about anything. So I'm going to say it again. Why do you need a lawyer? Hello, everybody. Why do you need a lawyer? Because you've come back as if nothing has happened. And you all are alleging things about to say furniture moving. As black folks talking. Stuff moving out of storage units, blah, blah, blah. I've heard nothing about that from the police. I get all my news from legal sources. If I don't hear it in a CNN report, news outlet, I don't weigh on that. You all know how I am. Because so far, people have been coming in the chat with all kind of he said, she said about this, that. I want to hear it from the news. I want to hear the news tell me what was moved, what was taken. Because people will fall into a story and they hear you saying these things. And if they don't know anything about the story yet, they start listening and believing that stuff. And then they start passing it around. And then we find out later it wasn't true. So I want a source to tell me what he did when he returned from Wyoming. What did Brian Laundrie do with her things, her belongings, bank accounts, all of that? Is there more felonious behavior pertaining to any effects belonging to Miss Petito? Where are her things? Since everybody's gossiping that he took her stuff and moved it. Well, where is it? So somebody bring me a receipt to where her things are. Yeah, okay. What's the relationship between the Petitos and the Laundrie's? Are they talking? Are they speaking? Because since y'all act like I said, you want to pass rumors about storage units. Okay, who's come to get her stuff? Did somebody come get her stuff yet? Her funeral will be on Sunday. Did somebody come get her stuff? See, that's why I tell you all to always think about what you're listening to. Have the Petitos flown or drove down to Florida to get their daughter's things. It was said, well, who's it? See, this is what I'm saying. Don't repeat nothing to me without a receipt. I'm not trying to be nasty, but this is what you all do every day. You go in the chats repeating stuff. Who said her stuff is in storage? Where is her stuff? Has her parents came to get her things from wherever they are? I'm throwing it out there since you all like bringing it up. Thank you, Miss Dee Dee. That part. Is this an orchestrated situation by the parents? You're using somebody to give information to the news to say he left his wallet and his phone, but yet you all up in the Queen's chat, so they say. I went in my live last night, early this morning, because the Queen is a night owl. She stays up very late. God forbid it's going to affect my health. And I see Brian Laundrie has commented in the Queen's chat. You all missed that. See, this is why I keep trying to tell you all. Y'all don't pay attention to the stuff that's important. You all were just talking and chatting in that live of who is Brian Laundrie, and he's sitting in there talking, and y'all ain't said two words. So are we to believe that this is you, Mr. Laundrie? Because somebody has gone on my community post to say, you've been chatting in other people's chats on YouTube. So I don't know if it's you or the crackpot that jumped up there, Sal Rosenbaum, Rosenthal, whatever. Because I found it interesting of the timing. I get some crackpot jumping the panel, trying to tell me he knows what happens. And then I cut him off, remove him from the stream. And then shortly after that removal, you come in telling me you're safe and sound with the arm up like Hercules. So, Brian, I'm going to say this to you like I said on my post late this morning. If you are indeed Brian Laundrie, stay your ass off of social media and turn yourself in, homeboy. If you are the real Brian Laundrie that's infiltrated my chat and other chats, social media commentary. See, there's no way I believe you are in the reserve. If you are in the reserve, you're already dead. I'm going to put it like that. Because there's nothing out there. And who the hell's going to lie out there amongst wildlife in the heat? Florida stays warmer than most states besides Arizona, California. So what damn purpose would you have to be out there in the reserve? Okay, Brenda said her mother was the one that said he flew home and back to empty storage unit and gave the dates per Gabby. Okay, but did he give the mother her information to get her stuff out? Since the mother said he emptied her stuff out. So what was the conversation? He emptied her stuff out. What was the conversation? I emptied her stuff out because of what reason? I emptied her stuff out my house, my parents' house, for what reason? I put her stuff in storage for what reason? She is where exactly for me to empty her stuff out of my parents' house? See, this is what I'm saying to you. What did he say to her? If this is indeed the truth, the mother is saying he emptied my child's stuff out. Okay, what reason did he give the mother why he would remove her things out of the house? Yeah, I ain't heard that part yet. As far as this going into the reserve, we don't know if that's the truth. We don't know if these people drove their son somewhere to get him to safety. If he took himself somewhere to safety, we don't know anything. We don't know that any of this information is true. This could have been just a stall attempt to get him to safety, to get him where he needed to go so he could hide out. In this commentary, we hear this Mustang was towed. So why is law officials towing his car? They have returned his car to him, but why? Or to his home, rather. Why did you all tow the car? What relevance is the car to this case of Petito being dead and the fraudulent cards? Is there a link? Is this a planned murder? Once again, you all have been chattering, and I don't like to do conspiracies and this and that because I like to stick to what I'm hearing from law officials first before I start assuming what happened in a case. But I'm going to throw it out here, and I'm going to try to be very respectful to the Petitos when I say this. Is this an orchestrated murder? Because the way you come back throwing things out, and people do this though, when they want to get somebody gone, I want you all to stay woke now. When you want to get someone gone, you've planned to get them gone, you start removing their personal effects. She went home to New York. Well, we know she didn't go home to New York. He couldn't have told her parents she's on her way to New York. None of that makes any sense. Because she would have called her parents to say, I'm coming home to New York. Stay woke. Stay woke. If I'm to believe that this is an orchestrated murder, we're going to go there. I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. As I said, I want to be very respectful in what I say about this young lady because she is no longer alive. You all have been running, some of you, about books and what you saw on a TikTok video or Instagram post or social media by these people. You saw them reading a book about some people that went missing, serial killer, blah, blah, blah. I don't bank on stuff like that because you don't have no proof of that. People read all type of things every day. It doesn't mean that they're planning to kill anybody. It doesn't mean they want to be a serial killer. It doesn't mean they've got some fetishes. It's just a book. It's just a book. Just so happens She's dead, found dead. He's come back doing felonious things with her cards and removal of her things, allegedly. So we're going to go there. Was this an orchestrated murder if we are to believe he did remove her things out of the house to wherever? Was this orchestrated to get rid of Miss Petito? I can't say because, see, I don't know these people. Oh, my God. Does he have anger issues? Since now we have someone who was on vacation out west in Utah that saw him in the restaurant at the Tex-Mex, bickering with the hostess and then going back to talk to the manager about what exactly? What was he mad about in the restaurant? What was going on in the restaurant? As I said, was it poor service? Had they ordered their food? Was it an issue of not getting seen, seated? No one came to the table? That's the whole point of this story. Did they even get to eat? Did they eat, not eat? Did they get seated, not seated? Poor service, what? Food was bad, what? She and her had words, what? I don't know. They said there was no physical abuse seen between the two. So obviously this was an issue with the staff. Yes, I have to sound like a lawyer because you can't bring he said, she said in this stuff. Everybody knows that. The court of law, they'll tell you. Just like all the stuff we say and assume, you would never go into court with none of this stuff that you all are saying. They would not let you say it. None of that. The lawyer couldn't say it. Pookie couldn't get up there and say it. Objection, hearsay. The courts are very, very strict about what you can say in testimony. So that's how you have to dissect the story. Everybody's now talking about, I saw this, I saw this, I saw this. Now we have this issue in Utah of a restaurant, and they don't even have cameras for us to even see what the hell happened in there. So now I got to bank on what this person said happened, what the hostess said happened, what the manager said happened. And now what's even more strange, because I just played you the girl's Instagram post, the manager don't want to describe what happened. Why not? You don't want to describe what happened, but a lady goes to Instagram to tell everybody dramatically, he got kicked out. He was having words with the hostess. Then he went back in 4 times. He was talking to the manager, blah, blah, blah. They kicked him out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so see where I'm going? He said, she said. So what happened in there? And why is the manager declining to tell what happened? Is it because they have rules legally that he or she can't tell law enforcement what happened because it has to be sued or something? What? And another thing, going to social media, which I play you that girl's spoof on TikTok about how things get out of control with repeating things on social media, wanting to be a web sleuth, trying to put together a case, chop it up, figure it out. There's nothing wrong with that. It's human nature to try to figure out a crime. But in the end, we do not know Miss Petito. We do not know Mr. Laundrie. We do not know his parents. We do not know what took place in Wyoming or Utah or any other state that they touched down. We only have video cam from the police of an altercation between the two. One woman coming forward on an Instagram post about them being kicked out of a restaurant, but the manager won't describe what happened or the conversation that transpired between she and Mr. Laundrie, which I find very suspicious. Now we have an anonymous source close to the family telling us he left his wallet and phone last week and walked into a damn reserve. Do y'all see where this is going? He said, she said. Maria, they haven't released that information yet, baby. This is my personal opinion pertaining to this. They were too young to be married. That's my opinion. And like they said, why are y'all going to social media with these informations about what you saw between Petito and Laundrie? You should have went to the police first and then released it to TikTok. Kicked out of the restaurant for what? If it's true. Will her parents file any type of grievance with the police department? The ones who filmed this infamous cam video of their altercation, they said that they've investigated so far and they haven't found any improprieties of the police department in their handling of the two that day. How long have these two been fighting, bickering, cussing, fussing, putting their hands on one another? How long has this been going on? I'm not answering any type of those type of questions, y'all. Come on. I'm not about to do that. I'm not answering anything that's gossip about that girl. I'm not doing that. Bring me a receipt. Yes, Maria, too immature. As you know, I know of a young lady that's missing here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Her family was out last night searching for her in her last location where she lived. And there's now people talking on social media and the news pertaining to Black people going missing, Hispanic, indigenous persons, and our race not getting the due knowledge of being information related to the public, such as Miss Petito's case. Because her case just took off. Once Brian returned home, then her case got national attention. Then now the FBI is involved. We have tons of Black people missing, tons of Black children missing, and their stories do not get out there. And as I said, naturally, the news is not going to be able to report every story every day of a missing person. That's just common sense, no matter what the race is. But there are some people who are feeling some type of way about their families. And I'm going to bring you that set information. And this is by CNN as well. Thank you all for joining me. These families of missing Black people are frustrated with the lack of response to their cases. And in this said commentary, you will see an African-American young guy, nice-looking young man. He's obviously was missing. And it says his car was found nearly a month after he went missing. His dad hired a private investigator to find his son. I'm going to read you the said information, and then I'm going to play the video pertaining to that. David Robinson has been in Arizona for the last 3 months searching for his 24-year-old son, Daniel Robinson, who went missing after leaving a work site in the desert in his Jeep Renegade on June 23rd. Robinson, who lives in South Carolina, hired an independent investigator and assembled a volunteer search team when he says he felt the police weren't making progress in the investigation. He also says he failed to get the amount of media coverage he believed the case needed. The case was reported by the local media as early as July 9th. So let's go back. He left his job in the desert on June 23rd. The father, Mr. Robinson, hired a private investigator and a search team because he didn't feel like the police were making headway on the case. The case did not get local attention until July 9th. Robinson said he sympathizes with the family of Gabby Petito, whose remains were recovered Sunday after she disappeared while exploring parks in Wyoming, prompting a highly publicized search. When you see these said photos of Mr. Daniel Robinson, you will see him, what looks like he's in a canyon somewhere, posing. Nice looking young man. Now we have to ask ourselves, where is he? Still, Robinson said it's hurtful to see a young white woman's case met with more urgency and national attention than his son, who is Black. You wish you lived in a world where everything was equal, but it's really not equal, Robinson told CNN. Robinson is among the Black and brown families whose loved ones remain missing and say they have struggled to get fair attention on their cases. Some say they have grown frustrated with watching the search for missing white women like Petito being in the spotlight while police appear to allow their cases to go cold or classify their loved one as a runaway. The issue has for years prompted people of color to take matters into their own hands, holding rallies, launching independent probes, and seeking help from community advocates and lawmakers to get their cases in the public eye. Some experts say the nation faces missing white women syndrome, which is defined by the heavier media attention white women and girls receive when they go missing compared to anyone outside of those demographics, according to a study published by the Northwestern University of Law 2016. The study points out that missing Black people are less likely to garner media attention at the outset than other groups. And when they do make the news and they receive a lower intensity of coverage. Zach Summers, a criminologist and author of the Northwestern study, told CNN that bias and systemic racism play a role in missing white women syndrome, a term he said was coined by the late TV news anchor Gwen Ifill. As a culture, we are readily willing to accept stories about white folks as victims as something we should care about, he said. When we see a white person who has gone missing, we say that could be my daughter, neighbor, or cousin or friend. And they identify with that person and are more likely to read the story than we would if it were a person of color. Black and Native Americans make up disproportionate share of active missing persons cases. The FBI's National Crime Information Center's list of active missing persons show about 90,000 active missing persons cases at the end of 2020. Of those cases, Black and Native American people made up a larger share of missing persons than their total share of the U.S. population. And when you open this article, you will see at the top, it has white, 54% missing. That's 48,714, which is at 76%. Black, 31%, 28,203 people. The largest disparity is among Black people, who make up about 1/3 of active missing persons, but only 13% of the U.S. population. Asian, 2%, 2,035. Native American, 2%, 1,496, 1,496. Unknown, 10%, 9,189. Note, the NCIC includes people who identify as Hispanic or Latino in the white category. Now go figure that. And while the cases of missing white women are given more focus and urgency, people of color are disappearing at disproportionate rates. According to 2020 FBI data, Black people make up 35% of missing persons reports, but only 13% of the U.S. population. Now put that together now. We as Black people only make up 13% of the U.S. population. 50 states, and we're only 13%, but yet we make up 35% of missing persons reports in America. This is shameful. White people, meanwhile, make up 54% of missing persons reports and 76% of the U.S. population. So I guess you can use common sense to see 20-something more percent of white people are missing. And they're also including Hispanics in that as well. Those who identify want to say they're white. And yet there are more white people in America, and I think we know that, at 76% population. David Robinson, who described his son as an outspoken geologist who loves the outdoors and has a lot of friends, said he believes that if Daniel were white, police would be working harder to find him. It bothers me and it upsets me that my son being missing is not important. It's not urgent and hasn't gotten much attention, he said. I've lost faith in the Buckeye Police Department. Daniel's car was discovered by a rancher on July 19th, about 3 miles away from the worksite where he was last seen, Robinson said. The vehicle had suffered crash damage and a pile of his clothing and belongings was discovered nearby. Buckeye Police Assistant Chief Bob Sanders told CNN that his officers have covered all of our bases in the search for Daniel Robinson. Sanders said the department has followed up on every lead, interviewed co-workers, friends, and relatives, and reviewed all evidence. As of Wednesday, no foul play is suspected in Daniel Robinson's disappearance, Sanders said, but the investigation is ongoing. Daniel is a member of our community, and we are committed to finding him, Sanders said. We relate to him, David Robinson, as a father, and we are trying to give him closure one way or the other. Other Black families say they're also angered by how police have handled their cases. Some have gained more attention on social media in light of Petito's case. And this is pertaining to Jelani. On Thursday, the body of missing graduate student Jelani Day was identified a month after he went missing. The coroner of LaSalle County, Illinois, confirmed Day's identity through forensic dental identification and DNA testing and comparison. The office said in a news release shared by the Bloomington Police Department, the cause of death remains unknown, the release said, pending further investigation. Day, a 25-year-old graduate student at Illinois State University, whose mother said he aspired to become a speech pathologist, was reported missing on August 25th in Bloomington, Illinois. His mother, Carmen Bolden Day, has spoken out in recent days, pleading for answers and more help finding Jelani. The Bloomington Police Department, I have been in frequent contact with them, they told HLN. However, there has been no urgency. There has not been the drive to find Jelani. A mother's plea to find daughter missing nearly 5 years. Tony Jacobs said her daughter, Keisha Jacobs, has been missing since September 26, 2016, when she left the family's apartment in Richmond, Virginia. Jacobs said Keisha, now 26, said she was going to spend the night with a friend but never returned home the next day. Jacobs said police initially suggested Keisha was ignoring her mother's calls and likely wasn't missing. However, 14 months after Keisha went missing, police said they suspected foul play was a factor in her disappearance. Jacobs said it's unfair that Keisha, who was only a year younger than Gabby Petito when she vanished, did not receive the same intense search effort and publicity as Petito. My heart goes out to everybody that's missing. I don't want any parent to go through what I've gone through, Jacobs told CNN. But at the same time, it does frustrate me because Keisha didn't get that attention. What made the FBI think her case was more important than Keisha's? Cases are just not taken seriously. The years-long disparity prompted Derica Wilson to launch Black and Missing Foundation, Inc. in 2008 to help raise awareness for missing people of color. Wilson, a former law enforcement officer, said too often police label missing Black people, including children, as runaways or suggest they were involved in criminal activity. And with most police agencies allocating minimal resources to missing persons units, people of color are more likely to fall through the cracks, Wilson said. Some of those same families have sought national and local news coverage to no avail, she said. Wilson said her organization is hoping to combat the issue, which she insists is the result of systemic racism, by sharing and promoting the stories of Black and brown families with missing loved ones through the media. We look at it and we say, why not us? Wilson said. Our families, our communities are desperate to find their missing loved ones, and sadly, their cases are just not taken seriously. Lawmakers have also made efforts to address the issue. Earlier this year, Minnesota's state legislature passed a bill authored by State Rep. Ruth Richardson that would create a missing and murdered African American women and girls task force. Richardson said the group will be tasked with making recommendations for improving how the state handles cases of missing Black women and girls. She pointed to the story of 18-year-old Brittany Clardy, who went missing in St. Paul in 2013, and police suggested to the family that she run away with her boyfriend. Clardy's family launched her own investigation and started to get leads, Richardson said. Clark's body was later found in the trunk of her car. Alberton Palmer was sentenced to 40 years in prison for her death. Richardson said she wants to see police give these cases fair treatment, figure out a trajectory for the stories to make the news, and create a state-level office for missing and murdered Black women and girls. What we tend to see is when Black women and girls go missing, they are much more likely to be identified as runaways, and then you don't get the same level of law enforcement engagement, support, and you don't get Amber Alerts, Richardson said. So there are lots of things within our systems that have been set up in ways that are really failing these families and these Black women and girls when they go missing. The said information is by CNN. Oh, Lord have mercy. This is very sad. I'm going to play information pertaining to David Robinson, who's currently missing. Thank you all for joining me. Have 111 viewing. Amen. Well, I guess it'll upload here in a minute. Thank you all. We're not talking about talking to social media while you're making all them exclamation points. My report is from the news. My report is not from Pookie and Ray Ray. And I'm only reading the information that was just uploaded. So whatever's been said thereafter, I don't have anything to do with that. People are rude. What's going on down there? I'm trying to play this video. I don't know why it's not coming up. Hold on. For some reason it won't play. Strange. Hold on one second. I was trying to get this video to play about Mr. Robinson, but for some reason it won't play. I don't know. Thank you, Kinsley. What's something you need to understand? I don't know, this video won't play. Is that when information is relayed by the news, I shouldn't even have to say this, it's evolving. So if Pookie decided they don't want to talk today and change their mind 2 days later, then the news will bring forth the information to let you know what has changed. So any information I bring you a source. And this information was uploaded yesterday at 6:35. So if you got common sense, you would know that today's a new day. So that means something obviously changed since from yesterday to today. I can't sit up all day and watch the news. I do have to go to bed. Jesus Christ. Crackpots. Well, that's the sad information. So I'm starting to get irritated. Because this is what you people do. You go in people's chats, trying to tell them about something. The point is, this is an ever-evolving story, like any true crime story. Things change at a given moment. Nothing stays the same. Information doesn't stay the same. What's said today at 6 o'clock will change by 6:15 or 6:30 because it's a crime. Crimes. So nothing stays the same. And I'm not here to bicker about what you heard. I'm never rude to my watchers. You're just not going to come in my chat and try to tell me what I'm saying. Because basically what you're trying to tell me is what I'm saying is not the truth. I'm reading what the news, what they asked. Don't you think somebody asked that woman what happened in the restaurant? And obviously she didn't want to speak at that time. So the restaurant gave a statement. So my commentary is it perhaps the restaurant did not want her to speak? But you came into my chat all of 5 minutes late and you had not heard what I said about why she probably didn't give a statement. It's maybe the restaurant didn't want her to give a statement. You people do this all the time. You come in somebody's chat 50 minutes into a video and start ragging about what somebody is saying when I've already repeated that information. That possibly there's a reason why the manager didn't give a statement pertaining to what transpired between she and Mr. Laundrie in conversation. But you come in late, basically trying to tell me the information I got from CNN News is inaccurate. When this is information from yesterday. Yeah, they're crazy. Goofy. Just goofy. Anyway, I don't have time for the shenanigans. That's the spoken word. There are missing people in America, African-American people who are missing, and they want the same just due as Caucasian missing people. Because as I state, Chadwick Carr is missing. I've heard nothing about his case here in Clinton, Tennessee. No updates, nothing. Dateline has spoken to his sister. I haven't heard any more updates pertaining to Chadwick Carr. I haven't heard any more updates from the news. This week, information was released pertaining to Deshina Kyle, who's missing out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And her family touched down on the ground last night to go to the last location where she lived to search. So I don't know if they've heard something or got any type of information pertaining to her disappearance, but it's sad nonetheless. And now Knoxville Police Department has released a statement that they do believe her disappearance is possibly a homicide. It's a crime shame. It's this is what I tell my fans, people who know me and know how I am. You can't please people. It's what I said the other day. You can read the story. You don't even have to give your opinion. They'll come in complaining. I don't even have to give my opinion. I could just say, this is what happened on this day. This is what they said. And somebody will come in and bicker and argue about the information as if I wrote the information. I'm repeating a source. And I tell people, if you have a problem with the source, then you go to the source. You don't come in the chat bickering with me about what the news said. And if it changed, okay, then it changed. What is there to argue about? It's childish. I heard the waitress was fearful that BL would hurt her. He is dangerous. I wouldn't make a statement if I was her. Okay. BL is hiding. He's only a danger to himself. Laugh out loud. Okay. There is a post at TMZ from a woman who got a pic of a man in a hotel in Canada who she thought could be Laundrie. Not a real clear photo, but it does look like him. Okay. They can head out if they don't like it or like you. You only gave what has been said from the Alice. Thank you, Kinsley. And that's the whole point. It's a crime story. Things are going to change. I didn't think you'd have to actually explain that to a legal adult. We're not talking about talking to a toddler. I didn't know you had to explain to an adult that in a story where there's a murdered person, missing person, information will change and fluctuate on a daily basis. What the news reported today won't be the same thing they might report 2 hours from now. But why would you argue about it? You know, you're arguing as if somebody lied about something. I don't get it. It's very immature behavior. Thank you, Brenda. No, I know I don't owe these people an explanation, but don't come in my chat infiltrating that mess like what somebody's saying is not the truth when I just gave you a source. And I gave several reasons why the young lady possibly didn't speak. I said, maybe her company didn't want her to speak. But you come in all of 5 minutes raising hell like, exclamation point, exclamation point. Her company released a statement. Well, guess what? Karen already said that 30 minutes ago. Very silly behavior. Anyway, prayers for the missing, prayers for the Petito family. I'm praying that Mr. Laundrie is found wherever he is. Thank you, Elisa Jett. Thank you, darling. Thank you for the donation. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'm praying that he is found. I have no idea where he is. I have no idea what took place out there in Wyoming. That's what's so sad about this story is that we do not know what happened out there with these two. And as I stated in my commentary, when you start listening to all these different versions of things that people are now saying that he was bickering with these people in a restaurant in Utah. Then we've got the Wyoming police showing us cam footage of her crying and some type of altercation that took place between the two. No one got arrested. Gossip about hotels and staying in a hotel. He took the van back to Florida. Now we have fraud charges on some cards. And as I stated in the beginning of my commentary, for those who are late, 9 times out of 10, Mr. Brian used those cards to put gas in the van. You think it cost $20 to drive from Wyoming to Florida? He had to be able to put money in the car. Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's why I always tell people to listen to the information. Listen to the information. He had the pin to the cards. Where did he get the pin from? Because 9 times out of 10, these cards belong to the victim. He got that information from her. But naturally, they can still ring you up on charges because, one, she was missing, and then she was later found deceased. So they can ring you up for the charges of using the card without her permission because she's now been discovered dead. And it's just a sad, sad story all around, whether she's white, black, blue, or green. But yes, I want my Black brothers and sisters and children to get the same acknowledgement when they go missing. And as they say, just because a Black person goes missing, it does not mean that they were involved in felonious behavior, criminal behavior, ran away. And really, that's a rude thing to say and a senseless thing to say, that a 6-year-old or 7-year-old ran away from home. You know, what does a 6-year-old know about running away from home? Nothing. You know, maybe a little older, preteen perhaps, 11 years old at the most, 10, because children are more savvy these days. You know, they're more alert and aware of their surroundings. They have a very advanced, you know, thinking skill. You know, their mindset's more advanced now. He could have used it, sad credit, and you only need the zip code. Well, either way, he's being charged with fraud. And it's just a matter of what the state of Wyoming how they want to bring this case forward. Because the point is, as I state, the woman is deceased. So you can't say you got permission from a dead person. But common sense will say he got the information from her while she was living. So now she's dead, whether we want to believe he killed her or not. He used the cards to get home. He used the cards. He used the cards to get that van back to Florida. I think most of us know that already. That he used those cards to get home to Florida. I hope the daddy find his son alive. I saw him on the news last night. So sad. Okay, you did? Okay. I'll have to check that out. Well, Kinsley, that's the whole thing about life, is that we already know what it's been like for African Americans in this country from day one, when we were brought here against our will, and our ancestors were brought here against their will, and one thing begat another. And here you are now in modern day in 2021, and nothing has changed. Yes, some of us have jobs, some of us have nice homes, some of us work, some of us don't. Some of us got it going on, some of us don't. But nonetheless, you still have racism, you still have biasness, you still have ratchet people who don't like Black people, brown people, Hispanics, non-whites. That is never going to change. The only time that will change is when God decides to call it quits and bring everybody on up out of here. That is the only time that will change. But nonetheless, everybody deserves just due. Whether they are missing, whether it is a crime against a said party, it doesn't matter. Everybody deserves just due. And we have a lot of Black people, persons, children missing in this country. And it is atrocious. And I just brought you the stats. And then you have to count the people who haven't reported people missing. And they have gotten rid of them, buried them, discarded them, and have not reported them missing. So who's to say what that stat would look like if we found out the truth of how many people are actually deceased, and the people who were responsible for them, caring for them, dating them, married, whatsoever, never reported them missing, made up some rules. Oh, they left, they went back home to Idaho. Yeah, she took all her things, and he took all his things. You understand what I'm saying? And then we found out many years later, somebody moves, somebody dies, somebody goes in the house, start digging around, go in basements and stuff, dig up the yard. Oh, here we got bones been concealed. Now we got to figure out, well, who do these bones belong to? Yeah, you know he knew her pen already. Come on now. Yeah. You know he knew her pen. That's how he got them. He already was with her. They may have shared monies. I don't know. Shared things. When people date, they share information. So naturally, he knew her pen, because that's the reason why there's a fraud charge. He knew the pen. But the indictment, common sense, is that even if I gave you the pen, you knew the pen, I'm not anywhere around. I'm not being seen. So that's where we have to figure out what the law is out there in Wyoming. But obviously, they brought the charge. So 12 people agreed on the indictment. That's what you have to remember about these charges about the cards. 12 people agreed on this to say yay for an indictment. So obviously they have laws about having knowledge of a pin on a code, it doesn't matter. She was missing. So she wasn't around to consent. And then later she was found deceased. So that it is what it is. I'm not here to argue Wyoming law. Jackie, that's a good point. He could have been that guy. Give me your pen. I got to know your pen. Woo, woo, woo. May have. Because that's the whole point of the story. They were dating. These people were dating. They were in a relationship. She lived in the house with he and his parents, allegedly. They took this trip across the country. Things jumped off in a very bad way. Now she's no longer alive. He's a person of interest in her death. And now there are fraud charges being filed by the state of Wyoming against Mr. Brian Laundrie. Yes, find the missing, indeed. I'm not going to hold you all much longer, but I thank you all for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. I try to be very candid and honest with any information I bring to my chat, to the channel itself. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to think how you want to think, believe what you want to believe. But one thing that gets out of hand in these stories is the he said, she said, and it's got to stop. You can assume what you want, but you can't say it is the spoken word because you don't know. And that is the reason why law enforcement keeps preaching these same things in these cases, such as with the Summer Wells case and other cases. You keep spreading rumors and calling law enforcement, worrying them to death on these hotlines. You are taking up their time and their resources in finding these people and getting these crimes solved by repeating gossip. And he said, she said. And as I state, you're entitled to think what you want to think, but you don't have the right to get involved in dialing that 1-800 number. That's where it's a problem and it's foul, because you're taking up these people's time by writing the information down, and they think perhaps they're writing down a tip when it's just something you're thinking about, something you think law enforcement should be doing, and that's not your place. And I think a lot of you have gotten out of control. Hey, John, yes, he had all her info. Of course he did. Of course he did. And I think Wyoming law said, well, it doesn't matter if he had her info or not. She went missing. Her parents filed a report. We later find her dead. So you don't have any business using her card, because in the end, a dead person can't consent to you using their card for whatever reason. That's the whole point of why there's an indictment. She was dead. Was deemed dead when you use the card. And as I stated in the beginning of this commentary, I do believe that's why he used the cards. It's because he needed to get home. He had to get that van back to Florida. Frankly, he was stupid to even drive it back, in my opinion, because no matter how you look at the story, law officials were going to assume he was the culprit in her disappearance. That's just common sense. You were with her. You have posted to social media that you were with her. We've got people saying you were fighting, fussing, cussing, whatever in Utah at the restaurant. Now we got the police showing cam footage of her crying, and you all had some type of dispute. So there's proof you were with her in Utah, Wyoming, whatever state that they can bring up footage. Now her parents are filing a missing persons report. She's found shortly after the report. Well, where the hell were you? Hey, honey, how you doing? No, MCOS, I did not hear. Thank you, John. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. It's amazing how these stats have grouped Hispanics with the whites to make it higher level of missing people in that ethnic category. Well, Dee, I can't say if somebody in the Bureau did that with the stats. My thing is, when you report somebody missing, it's up to you to check the box of white or black or Hispanic or Indian, American Indian. So perhaps some of the people check the box as white. I don't know. See, I can't speak. I can't say. You know me. I try not to make an assumption about anything, but I don't know. I don't know if the people who are reporting their family member missing, they're checking the white box, or the area where the people are going missing. I don't know. It's my first time ever hearing that. I have no idea. I have no idea. If he hadn't used her cards, he might have had gotten away and saying she was a lie when he left, even though I still would have thought him guilty. Yes, Jackie, very good point. Had he left that van, he could have easily said, she left me. I don't know where she is. I flew back. Stay woke, you guys. See, this is where he's not smart. You see, what he should have done, if he did kill her, he should have called his parents and said, I'm stuck over here at such and such place. Gabby ran off and left me. I don't know where she is. We had an altercation, words, whatever, however you want to word it. And then his parents say, okay, we're going to get you home. Then he flies back to Florida, keeps her things right where they are, and don't do nothing. And then her parents start to call him, and then he puts the ball in motion. Hey, your daughter and I had an argument, woo, woo, woo. She got mad and drove off. I don't know where she is. My parents had to fly me back to Florida. He's not very bright, because that's what a smart person would have done. They would have left Gabby's van there and booked the flight out of there as to not be thought of as the killer. So then law officials would have to prove he actually stayed in a hotel, got an Uber, did this or that, got a cab, went to the airport, boarded a flight, flew home, go to his house, issue a warrant, go inside, all her things are still there. He's playing the role of the grieving boyfriend of his girlfriend leaving him. I still love her. We had a fight. I thought it was best I just go home. Things weren't working out. Blah, blah, blah. I couldn't find her. Whatever. Or as I state, just say, she left me. I don't know where she is. So I went on and got home. I haven't heard from her. See, that's how you play the role. So he's not a clever killer. If indeed he did kill this young lady, he's not clever, because that's what somebody would have done with some sense. I got to get myself out the situation. I've murdered this girl. I don't want these people thinking I killed her. Let me call my parents for help to get out of here. I'm going to leave her van and I'm gone. I ain't taking this van. I ain't doing nothing. Set it up. See, there's some people who are clever who would have set it up, but he wanted to get out of there. So he stole the cards, used the cards to get home, naturally for food and gas, came home, did whatever he had to do with her belongings, played possum, and then here comes her parents involving law enforcement in the disappearance of their child. That's that. No, he's not that smart. Yes, he's a fool. He's an utter fool. And it's sad. These type of things happen every day. Miss Petito will not be the first person to have an altercation with somebody and end up deceased. She's not the first, and nor will she be the last. And that is the sick part about being a human being, is that you do not know people. You cannot trust people. People are not your friends. They're not your lovers. They're not your husbands or wives. They're not your brothers and sisters. They're not your parents. They're not your neighbors. They're not your co-workers. I think you've learned that from yesterday's event down in Collierville, Tennessee. Somebody gets mad at work and goes shoot everybody at the damn job. Everybody ain't happy. I think he tried leaving the van and realized how hard it was to hitchhike. Creepy, dumb lunatic. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. He took the easy way out, which would be to drive the van. But that's the point. He didn't plan it out. Whatever happened between these two, whether he snapped, went off, it was a planned murder, I don't know. The point is, he took the easy way out, which would be, yes, drive her car back, but it costs money to drive back from that far. I don't care if they was in a Hyundai, Nissan Sentra. That Sentra would require gas. You gotta eat. You gotta sleep. You gotta take a break. See where I'm going? That's a long way. Impulsive, manipulating murderer, not smart, reactive. No. I don't know if he is wealthy, but I'm wondering about that affluenza defense if he is found alive. Tina, don't start. Oh my God, you're killing me. Well, let me tell you something. No one is going to care about that rich white boy syndrome, however you want to word it. Nobody's going to care about that. And those people in Wyoming, the law officials, the FBI, they're not going to care about that. Because what they're going to say to themselves is what has already been repeated. The girl did not answer her phone. She stopped posting to social media. She did not call anybody about being hurt, harmed, sick, whatever. You drove her van all the way from the state of Wyoming to Florida. You allegedly got rid of her said belongings and or put them in storage. Possibly didn't contact her family, converse with her family. So you have made yourself look guilty for whatever took place in Wyoming. And then later she is found dead, and her death has been ruled a homicide by the coroner. They just had not have said how she died. But nonetheless, it is ruled a homicide. So it's not going to matter what he says at this point. Hiring a lawyer for this or that, it's not going to matter. It is what you did after you killed the girl. That is what matters. Yes, he's panicking. He's probably in a safe house in New York watching all this, maybe. A safe house. Why would he be in a safe house in New York? John Wall says she was beat to death on CNN with Anderson Cooper. Oh, mercy. Well, I hadn't heard anything because I went in and I did a search before I went live, and I hadn't seen anything pertaining to, I Googled his name. I didn't Google her name, so. But I'll check that out to see. But anyway, I'm going to check out of here because I'm already a little bit over an hour. But that is the set information. I brought you 2 articles. One is pertaining to his behavior thereafter, Mr. Laundrie. And there is an indictment out of Wyoming for his arrest for fraud. And also I brought you information of a few people who are missing that are African-American people. One of them is a Mr. Robinson who left work out in Arizona and never returned to be seen or heard from again. And his vehicle was found 3 miles from the said location of the job that was in the desert, his job, and his clothes and vehicle were found as if his car had crashed. So perhaps Mr. Robinson had a crash. I do not know. Maybe he picked somebody up hitchhiking, or they needed a ride, or he rode somebody home in his car. There was an altercation, or as I stated, he could just had a crash. Maybe he was hurt. Somebody came by, offered him aid. Maybe he thought they were going to take him to the hospital, but they didn't. I don't know because I don't know the circumstances. But nonetheless, it is a tragic, tragic situation of another African-American person missing, and nobody knows where they are. Okay, I'll check it out, honey. His parents put him up. They all from New York, Don. Okay, don't leave, Queen. Yeah, I'm going to leave because I don't want to. I've said enough already. Oh, for the early show, yes, anytime. What's the weekend? You know, this is my, the weekend is for the Queen. So I don't want to be late doing any lives because I won't be around to be doing any lives. So that's why I went on early to bring you this information pertaining to this update by CNN. So if you need a source, both articles are by CNN. And there's a date and time on them. So if there's any information pertaining to this article about Mr. Laundrie that has changed, CNN is the source. And as I state, every story is ever evolving. So whatever you hear today may change in an hour or 2 or 5 minutes from now. That's common sense. Thank you all so much. He is a beautiful young man inside and out. His arm is amputated, partially correct. Yeah, I thought I noticed that in the picture. S. Lee. I did. It looked like his arm was amputated, but I didn't want to. I didn't say it when I was bringing you the commentary because I didn't know for sure if his arm was amputated or not. Thank you, Joe. You all are so good to me. Some of you, and most of you know me. I bring it to you straight from the hip. I don't sugarcoat stuff and dance around stuff. If I do dance around a subject, it's for a reason, but I don't have any reason to dance around the subject. I bring you the contents, I bring you the source, and I bring you my opinion. It's just an opinion. But as I state, there's no need in coming in bickering and arguing about what the source has to say about the story when you should know it's a crime and things are going to change at a given notice. Things are going to change in a story. Information is going to change. So it's not anything worth bickering about. I don't understand the mentality of that. He was working towards his master. Yes, he was in graduate school. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. I thank you all so much for joining me. God bless all of you. Stay safe this weekend. Once again, if you'd like to donate to the channel and the dream of everyday shenanigans, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. It's in the description of this video. Stay safe. Prayers for the Petito family. Prayers that Mr. Laundrie is found. Prayers for Chadwick Carr missing out at Clinton, Tennessee. Tashina Kyle, Knoxville, Tennessee. The news has just released information pertaining to Tashina Kyle this week. If you need to go verify news from WATE News. And as I state, I don't know if Mr. Laundrie was the actual person in this chat 2 days ago when we were talking. If he's been infiltrating other people's chat on YouTube. But all I can say to him before I close out this video, you need to get off social media if you are the real Brian Laundrie that was in my chat the other night, or whomever's chat, because anybody can make up a name. Let's just say that. People will make up fictitious names or use someone's name. If indeed that was you, Mr. Laundrie, the best thing you can do is turn yourself in. Because I do not believe you are in a swamp, in a reserve. I don't believe you're in any of those things. I think you are walking around somewhere cushy and comfortable, and possibly that was you in the chat. I don't know. And if it was a fictitious person doing it, you're crazy and sick and taking advantage of a dead woman to get, to poke fun in a chat or social media is very vile and sick, and you're no different than the person that murdered her. Thank you, Esley. Thank you so much, and I appreciate that. Yes. Yes. Well, Jackie, that shows you how sick people are. Is that anybody that would come in a chat using somebody's name that's involved in a case, there's something wrong with you. So if you think it's funny using Brian Laundrie's name, Donald Wells, or whomever, something's wrong with you, you need to see a psychiatrist. Because there's no way in hell I'm going to go in my Google account and change my name to somebody that's a possible murderer. That means I need to get my head checked. And stealing their photos too, to put on the profile is just as wicked. You need to see a doctor. You need to see a doctor. But this is what you always have to remember. It's that you should know when people have done felonious things such as murder, they are watching everything. If they're not incarcerated, they are sitting at home watching everything that's unfolding on social media, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. They're watching it. They're Googling the articles. They're going to the live book. They're coming over here to the wire to see what people are saying. They're going in the chat. They're trying to do stuff. A fellow YouTube creator. Well, it could be that too. Yeah, I thought about that too, that it was another YouTuber. And if it was another YouTuber, you're ignorant too. That shows you don't have a life and you don't have anything going for yourself, that you would infiltrate pretending to be somebody and or get up on the panel pretending to be somebody. Because that voice that got up on the panel sounded awfully familiar. Awfully familiar. And I think I know who you are. So you picked the wrong playhouse. Because I don't play those type of childish games talking about a dead woman. Very disrespectful. But yet you'll probably be the same person on YouTube moaning and crying about stuff. And then you would go up on somebody's panel like you got information about what happened. You people are very ill. Thank you all for joining me. God bless you. Thank you for the super chats. You all stay safe. Have a blessed weekend. The Queen is going to get out and enjoy herself this weekend. So all of you stay safe. If you see something, say something. God bless you. When I get more information pertaining to the updates that I've got, I will bring it to you. I may do a live before I start my evening because I do need to do a recheck pertaining to the shooting in Collierville, Tennessee at the Kroger grocery store. I want to do that before I get out this evening because I want to make sure everybody knows about what happened down there and the status of the people who were shot, and because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are concerned about the community down there. And as most of you know who are following the story, the suspect killed himself, and hopefully there will be information pertaining to who the suspect is, what was going on with him, or whatever, or anybody else that wants to give an account of what took place in Kroger yesterday. I will bring you that probably here shortly when I get some more information. But I thank you all so much for joining me and my little loyal fans. I really appreciate y'all. God bless all of you. Yeah, yes, they'll write anything. Yeah, honey, we know how they do, honey. We don't worry about that because I'm highly favored, and I don't get into all that crazy nonsense because these are real people who are either missing or deceased, and you have to show them some respect, when you're talking about them. So, pretending to be somebody else that's possibly involved in killing a person, there's no words to describe that type of behavior. Like I said, you're sick and you need to see a psychiatrist. Thank you all so much. God bless all of you. This is Everyday Shenanigans.